This is IGN.
Nintendo Switch 2 physical games will now be more expensive than digital versions. Welcome to your IGN Daily Update. But first, Warner Bros. and New Line Cinema confirmed on Wednesday The Lord of the Rings: Shadow of the Past, which will be written by Philippa Boyens, Stephen Colbert, and Peter McGee. Shadow of the Past, which the company's caveat is currently a working title, will be produced by Peter Jackson's New Zealand-based Wingnut Films, in association with Stephen Colbert's production company, Spartina. The announcement explains Shadow of the Past will be set 14 years after the passing of Frodo, and see Sam, Merry, and Pippin set out to retrace the first steps of their adventure. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter, Eleanor, has discovered a long-buried secret and is determined to uncover why the War of the Rings was very nearly lost before it even began. Colbert concedes that after conceiving of the idea, it took him a few years to muster up the nerve to contact Jackson, but he ultimately did so a few years ago. Colbert explained that since then, he and Jackson have been working on developing the story. Shadow of the Past joins The Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum as a second upcoming film that will take viewers back to the world established back in 2001's The Fellowship of the Ring. The Hunt for Gollum is being directed by Gollum star Andy Serkis and is tipped to feature a number of returning stars alongside new faces like Kate Winslet. And in case you were wondering, Sony's collaboration with Honda to make cars that streamed PlayStation 5 games has now been scrapped. Back in December, Sony and Honda announced a partnership for the Afeela 1 range of vehicles, which were set to launch at some point this year. The car's key selling point appeared to be the ability to play PS4 and PS5 games with screens installed for passengers in the back. It's unclear how many Afeela cars Sony and Honda realistically expected to sell, or indeed how many customers it managed to attract with its earlier announcement. Regardless, the company said today that the whole scheme was being scrapped, with reservations fees refunded for those who did register interest. While the ability to play games in the backseat sounded fun, the Afeela would only have provided an option for remote play, meaning you would also need your console switched back on at home in order to stream gameplay. As with any streaming technology, there would also have been caveats. Now, the only place you'll be able to drive the Afeela is in a PlayStation game. A prototype was handed to Gran Turismo 7, though you can't sit in the back and play further PS5 games while in-game. Nintendo has announced that it will now charge different amounts for digital and physical copies of the same Switch 2 games, beginning with next month's launch of Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Yoshi was previously announced with a price of $59.99, which remains in place today for its digital version, but its physical counterpart will now be sold at $69.99, a full $10 more expensive. In a statement issued Wednesday, Nintendo said that its higher price point for physical games simply reflects the different costs associated with producing and distributing boxed copies. Beginning in May 2026, and starting with pre-orders for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, new Nintendo-published digital titles exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2 will have an MSRP that is different from physical versions, Nintendo wrote. Today's statement references new Nintendo games specifically, which seems to suggest that existing titles such as Mario Kart World, which is already $79.99 when bought either digitally or physically, will not retroactively see their boxed prices raised. Still, this will mean that future games already announced for the console will be impacted, including Fire Emblem, Fortune's Weave, and Splatoon Raiders. And in general, Nintendo is known for attracting a younger audience still keen to buy physical copies of games, far more than either PlayStation or Xbox. Earlier this week, it was reported that Nintendo had cut back on manufacturing Switch 2 consoles following weaker than expected holiday sales for the console. Nintendo recently confirmed it had sold fewer Switch 2 consoles internationally over the holiday period than it had once hoped, particularly in the US, though the impact of this had also been dulled somewhat by stronger sales in its homeland of Japan. Like other electronics companies, Nintendo's profits have been under pressure due to the rising cost of components such as semiconductors, as well as issues surrounding tariffs and logistical difficulties currently impacting global trade. The company increased prices of various Switch 2 accessories prior to the console's launch and bumped up the price of the aging Switch 1 last year. As of yet, Nintendo has not increased the cost of Switch 2 as it seeks to swell the console's user base, but warned this may be necessary in the future. That's your IGN Daily Update. My name is Zeke Robison, and if you want more news on your favorite games and entertainment topics, make sure to visit us at IGN.com. You can also download our free app on your phone or console and subscribe to our weekly podcasts through the podcast service of your choice.
Spoken Layer.